episode on African Bookworm Voices, where young minds express their opinions through African literatures. My name is Akujo Udoka Wokore, and you are watching African Bookworm Voices. This week on our set, we have students from African Child College, Kubwa Abuja. They are here to review the book, The Almighty Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Let us run his bio. That's Chinua Achebe for you. We already know that his name is a bold one in the literary world, and one of the objectives that we have on this program is to inspire young authors with works like his and to give them the platform to express their literary abilities. So we move right on to the next stage of this program after the short break. Please stay with us.
Give your child a good start with AG Mortgage Bank's Visa Kiddies account. Save 1 million naira for 1 year and earn 10% interest. Enjoy tuition loan access, educational gifts, and the chance to win a cash scholarship. Call or visit us today to get started. AG Mortgage Bank PLC gives your child financial freedom. AG Mortgage Bank PLC, a partner you can trust.
All right, welcome back from that break. We have here the lead coach for African Child College, Abuja, Kubwa Abuja to be precise. And he's going to be sharing a little bit about what the school does and what he thinks about teaching literature in this generation. It's good to have you on our set, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
Please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Very much. I'm Ifeanyi Chukwu Joseph. I teach literature in English at African Child College, Kubwa.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so do you run a British Nigeria curriculum?
Yeah, affirmative British curriculum.
Curriculum, oh,
Yes.
okay. So what do you think about teaching literature to this generation? Some people believe that the use of AI is becoming, students are becoming overly dependent on the use of AI against the traditional reading culture. What model do you run, and what are you doing to balance the study culture for students?
Yeah, it's imperative to ensure students use AI to ensure they get enough knowledge and sufficient understanding in literature in English to enable them to see how they can be creative, imaginative, and help themselves in literature in English. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But do you also encourage the traditional reading culture?
Yes, it helps them to inculcate values, and it helps them to understand the contemporary knowledge we help to instill into them in this time around. So inculcating these values in them helps them to have this creativity in terms of writing and builds up their confidence and their creative skills, man.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ifeanyi. It's been a very big good time to have you on our set. So right now we're going to meet your student and let's see what stuff they are made of. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We're taking a break right now. I'll be back soon. Across Africa, recent academic research shows a steady decline in deep reading culture among students. accelerated by overdependence on artificial intelligence tools. As educators and school leaders, we understand what this means: reduced critical thinking, weaker comprehension skills, and limited analytical depth. The Bookworm African Literary Championship was curated as a strategic response. From August 1st to August 7th, 2026, this national championship will bring together outstanding secondary school students to engage in rigorous literary analysis, structured debates, comprehension drills, and creative stage works rooted in African literature. Books making it to this edition includes There Was a Country by Chinua Achebe, Making It Big by Femi Otedola, Vet and the King's Horseman by Wole Soyinka, Marriage of Anansewa by Efua Sutherland, among several others in the YX syllabus. We invite heads of schools across Nigeria to register their students and position their institutions at the forefront of literary leadership. Registration is still ongoing. For sponsorship and partnerships, kindly call the numbers on your screen. Give African students the platform to read deeper, think sharper, and represent Africa on a global platform. The Bookworm African Literary Championship, raising generational leaders. Now I have my bookworms on set, and on my left I have Deborah, and on my right I have Stephanie. I will allow my girls to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Deborah Ochum. I am an SS3 student of African Child College, Kubwa. I am a native of Benue State and I am 16 years old.
Awesome.
My name is Stephanie Abobi. I am an SS1 student of African Child College. I hail from Cross River State and I am 14 years old.
So you heard, my ladies, we are going to be looking at the book Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, one of the strongest names in the African literary world. And I'm starting with Deborah. Deborah, are you ready for my first question?
Yes, ma'am.
It is. The book Things Fall Apart shows the collapse of traditional Igbo society under colonialism and internal division, okay? Let's hear from you what your summary is if you're trying to explain the story to someone who hasn't read this book before.
Okay. Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe it's a novel. It's a story of a man called Okonkwo. Okonkwo is a prominent warrior, wrestler, and farmer in the pre-colonial Igbo society of Umuofia. Well, Okonkwo is a man who is known for his rigidity and masculinity, which he developed because of a fear of being known as a failure and a weakness, like his father, Noka.
True.
Okonkwo is a man who is known for his hard work, his wealth, a man of titles, a man who holds a say in the community.
That says a lot, but that says it about Okonkwo's personality. Stephanie, how would you describe this story, this book also, exploring the theme of the work?
I would say the book by Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart, is a book about a man named Okonkwo. He's a man full of pride, he's a man full of arrogance, and a man who continues his search for masculinity. He's a man who is unable to adapt when he figured out that the British colonizers had come to his community to change his customs, change his traditions, and bring Christianity, which eventually, that's actually led to his downfall.
It's all about the importation of the Western culture into the traditional Igbo setting. And we already know that this book was set in a typical rural environment. Okay, so what do you think? How do you think this affected the characters in the work, especially people like Okonkwo, Nwoye, and the rest of them?
I believe their rural setting affected the way they behave, because they believe that if someone had epilepsy or was born of a strange death, they would be thrown into the evil forest. So what they believed was right was worshipping the earth deities, and this actually led to their actions like killing of twins.
So thank you, Stephanie, on that. So let's look at the setting of the production, okay, or the work, okay. It has a rural setting, and of course that also contributed, to the kind of mindset that they have. So how do you think it affected the characters in the piece?
I would say the way Okonkwo was brought up in his home led to his behavior. He was not able to change to the way. He wasn't able to change to the Western culture. He wasn't able to adapt to the new religion, the new customs, and this made him very rigid and very depressed.
Right, so I'm coming back to you, Deborah. Okay, the play is set on a rural setting. All right. How do you think it affected the characters?
Well, Umuofia is a pre-colonial society, Igbo society, that your wealth and your power are characterized by how many yams you have in your barn, how many goats you have in your compound, how many wives you married, how many male children you have given birth to. So Okonkwo is a man who, from birth, he was scared of weakness and failure. He strived hard to be someone they respect.
Okay.
So the Western coming to say his wealth and everything does not matter, coming to bring their new religions, their cultures, and trying to get him to adapt, he did not take it lightly.
Exactly. Okonkwo was very set in his rural way, in his native mindset. Okay. He was not ready in any way to adopt or align or affiliate himself with anything colonialism or with anything Western culture. That was Okonkwo for you. And we saw that the people in Umuofia were a little bit liberal, or soft, because by the time Okonkwo was already back from the exile, they've already started, welcoming the culture of the white people. All right, but Okonkwo did not have it; he couldn't stand it, so he was really set in that rural mindset. So let's look at the conflict. Conflict is one of the major driving force in things fall apart. You saw a lot of them play here and there. Let's explore it a bit. What do you think was the biggest internal conflict within Okonkwo himself?
I believe the major internal conflict between Okonkwo and himself was between him and his pride and his fear of lack of weakness. This even drove him to kill Ikemefuna, the innocent young boy, because Ezeudu, the oldest man in the clan, warned him that boy calls you father, do not lay hand in his death. And when Ikemefuna had been hit by a clansman, he ran to his father, they have attacked me, and Okonkwo pulled out his machete and struck him down. So this, he didn't want to do it, but he did not want to be seen as a coward in the eyes of other men. So this made him.
That was Okonkwo. Yeah, thank you very much for that, because I think that's the most empathic or the most touching aspect of that production, the killing of Ikemefuna. I watched that film in the 1986, 1987 when it was being played on NTA Network. I think NTA Network carried that series that time, and we used to look forward to watching that program in the evening. And I remember vividly what made that song more emotional was one lady that sang a song during the death of Ikemefuna. That was Nelly Uchendo of the blessed memory. I don't know if you guys know Nelly Uchendo. She sang a song when Ikemefuna was killed. Ikemefuna watadema, Ikemefuna okisije. I don't know if there's still a full production of that classic work, but it was quite emotional, it was quite touching, and it affected almost everybody in the society, because everybody came to like or love Ikemefuna, including Nwoye. He became particularly attached to Ikemefuna. So thank you for touching on that, because I love that part a lot. So let's look at another conflict. What conflict occurred between Okonkwo and his son Nwoye? What was the source of that conflict?
The major source of the conflict between Okonkwo and his son Nwoye was basically Okonkwo saw his son Nwoye as someone who had an effeminate character. As he looked at his son, he saw the shadow of his father's character in him, and that scared him. He did not want to raise a child that would be lazy, that would not be able to hold a household. He was scared. So because of that, since Okonkwo is known as a man who does not express emotions, because of that, instead of trying to talk his son, he forcefully tried to make him a man. He tried beating him, yelling at him, and eventually Okonkwo became, according to the book, a sad-faced youth.
It's true. Okonkwo had his own way of defining who a man should be. and to him, if you don't have that tough, if you don't project that masculine attributes, he sees you as a weakling. And Okonkwo's greatest enemy, internal enemy, was his father. And that was also his greatest fear, that he wouldn't end up like his father, and he didn't want Nwoye to end up like his father. So that was actually the conflict that he had with his son. Let's address the central societal conflict in the north. Let me go to Stephanie on that.
The theme of colonialism disrupted African traditional society spiritually when they brought in the new religion.
Yeah.
Even the villagers of Umuofia sent them to the evil forest thinking their God was not strong enough and maybe they would die after 4 days. But when they saw that they remained after 4 days, they started having faith in the new religion and losing faith in their own gods, whether God's even working, whether God's watching this happen to them, and they kept silent. So that is how colonialism affected the traditional Igbo society spiritually. Well, politically, it also affected them because colonialism brought the district head commissioner. Before, when there was an issue in the land, they would go to these 9 spirits, the Egungun and the other masquerades. Yeah. But in colonialism, the district head commissioner, they would go to the court messengers, and the district head commissioner would settle the issues. So that affected them politically. We have socially also.
Yeah.
Colonialism affected the villagers socially because there was now a dispute between those who wanted to stay with their gods, the earth deities, and those who wanted to be in the new religion. So it basically disrupted the whole unity of Umuofia and the other villages.
Thank you very much. You just did justice to that analysis, because everything about Umuofia was disrupted. Almost everything about Umuofia. But the one I think I like the most is the killing of twins. At least the Christianity stopped that, colonialism stopped that. So that's very okay. So let's look at when Okonkwo returned from the exile. Okay, he expects Umuofia to fight, or he expected them to have fought the colonial government at that time, but they didn't. They didn't. Yes. Yeah. So Okonkwo eventually conflicts with his society. What would you do if you were Okonkwo in Okonkwo's shoes? Would you have accepted? Do you think you align more with Okonkwo, or do you think you would have also gone along the way of the society in Umuofia?
If I was in Okonkwo's shoes, I would have actually done what he did, because growing up with this fear of failure, Okonkwo mentioned at a point in time when he was a young boy, his playmates called him a word, and it was later he got to find out that it meant a woman due to his father. So growing up with that kind of bad reputation, with that bad start, things were not easy for him. So coming back after 7 years to his home that he has always dreamed of, and then coming to see everything disrupted, the land has changed, even his own son now is trying to go against him. Of course, it drove him up the wall, which eventually led to his suicide.
Thank you very much, Deborah, for that, because you just did justice to that question. I hope you're taking 1 or 2 things from what we are saying, and I hope you're also enjoying this review. Don't you think these my ladies are on fire? We're going to take a quick break right now, and when we return, we'll keep discussing Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Stay with us.
Take a guess at the latest media house in town. Let me help you with that. We are Season Studios. Yeah, you heard right. We come with special effects to all your media productions for all seasons and any kind of brand. We come with a complete package offering services ranging from photography and editing, videography and cinematography, all kinds of event coverage, podcast, voiceover, documentaries and movie making, advertising of all sorts, graphic designs and digital artworks, consulting, creative arts training, as well as renting of production equipment and gadgets. You can also rent our tastefully set up state-of-the-art studio for your talk shows, podcasts, and more. So are you looking for a place where you can solve all your media problems? Season Studios is truly what you need. Get to know us at number 2B Adisa Plaza beside Educator Hotel, Kubwa Abuja, or call us on 081-7744-6770. That is 081-7744-6770 or 081-123-194-76. That is 081-123-19476. You can also send us an email at info@seasonsorg.com or visit our website www.seasonsorg.com. Trust us to wow you. See you soon.
Welcome back from our short break. This is still African Bookworm Voices, and on my set I still have Stephanie and I have Deborah. Stephanie, I'm coming to you with the next question, okay? So, Okonkwo, we have Okonkwo's wife's name.
They just labeled her as first wife. They
First wife, they never
gave her a name.
What was the second wife's name?
Ekwefi.
That's Ekwefi, exactly. That's Ezima's mother. Yeah. So, who was Okonkwo's best friend?
Obiorika.
Okay, so amongst everybody, I can mention, we can go on and on, but which character stood out for you the most and why?
To me, or?
To you, yeah. Let's start.
Honestly, it would be Uchendu.
Okay.
Uchendu is Okonkwo's mother's brother, which is Okonkwo's uncle. He is a character that stood out to me because he is the one Okonkwo ran to when he had been exiled from his village after committing a female Oshu by mistakenly killing the son of a classmate. Okonkwo, when he got to the village of Umbata, which is mother's village, he had been sad because he did not feel his pride anymore. He had always wanted to be a man of independence, and he did not have pride in being in his mother's land. He saw it as being weak. Yeah. But Uchendu called him and his other children and told them that Okonkwo is not the first man to suffer, that he has been through a lot of problems. So, and even his daughter has been having twins, and she has been killing and throwing them into the evil forest because of the custom of the land. So he encouraged him to not be sad or down because he's in his mother's land, because when a father rebukes a child, he goes to his mother's breast to suckle. Exactly. So he gave him confidence and encouragement that he should not be sad because he's in his mother's home, that they are there for him. And I just loved Uchendu's character. He was a loving uncle.
Thank you very much. Uchendu was actually a very, very good uncle. Let's look at the relationship between Nwoye and Ikemefuna. Okay, well, how would you describe it?
The relationship between Nwoye and Ikemefuna is one of brotherhood. Ikemefuna, when he came into Nwoye's life, Nwoye was sad, depressed, thinking of how he would impress his father. And then Ikemefuna came and he displayed masculinity in a way that is not forceful, but something that he was willing to accept. Yeah. He came as a companion and as a strong shoulder Nwoye could lean on. So at that point in time when his father killed him, Nwoye felt a strong hatred for the customs of the clan, bitterness for his father, and he felt so much pain and loneliness, which eventually led him to join the Christian religion, which focuses on forgiveness.
Ikemefuna's death really hurt Nwoye so much, and I think to an extent it also affected how he related with his father, going forward. But as Okonkwo also perceived Nwoye, Nwoye wasn't the type that would confront the father over anything, but it really, really did hurt him because he was more like a brother to him and to Ezima. Let's look at the role of Okonkwo, the role Okonkwo played in killing Ikemefuna. Okay, Stephanie, what do you think drove him into that, in spite of the warning by an elderly man, okay, not to get involved because the boy called him father? I mean, why would anybody choose, pride or arrogance or prestige over being seen, over playing the fatherly role?
This would be the fear of being labeled as a coward. That was the thing. He did not want to be like his father. He hated failure because of how he saw his father growing up idle, lazy, poor, owing debt. He was a debtor. His father was a debtor. Yeah. He secretly loved Ikemefuna, even though Okonkwo was a man who showed no emotions. He loved Ikemefuna. He loved Ikemefuna's influence on Nwoye because he was slowly turning Nwoye into being the son he wanted. He never wanted to kill Ikemefuna. Ezeudu, the oldest man in the clan, warned him that do not have a hand in his death. That boy calls you father. When he had been struck by a by the men that was taking him to where he was going to be killed in the evil forest. He ran to his father, Okonkwo. And Okonkwo, because he didn't want to be seen weak in the eyes of the other men there, that was the only reason I see why he killed Ikemefuna.
Yeah, he wanted to
and
show
he haunted him for days.
Yeah, he haunted him for days.
He haunted him for days.
He haunted him for days. He wanted to show off strength. But for me, that was also cowardice. Yes, that was him. I think the strength would have come if he had not even gone there, or he had gone there, but he saved Ikemefuna, because that boy became like his blood. In short, Okonkwo to an extent depended on Ikemefuna to carry out a lot of responsibilities. There was just no reason why Okonkwo, but then it was a book written by Chinua Achebe that it was exactly how he wanted us to feel whenever we got to that point. So what was the effect of killing Ikemefuna on Nwoye?
The effect of killing Ikemefuna on Nwoye was that Nwoye lost all respect for the pre-colonial Igbo traditions.
Yeah.
These sort of traditions now, they only make sense to people who are not on the bad end of it. People like Nwoye, who have heard the cries of the twins in the evil forest, who have heard the stories of people captured by spirits, thrown away, discarded. He really felt for them. He felt empathy for them. And then when the boy he looked up to as his brother, when he was killed by his own father,
because of the same custom and tradition,
he felt so bad, and that drove him to Christianity.
He
said the songs led him. They feel the spirit, and as they talked about acceptance, forgiveness, sympathy, he felt drawn to it, and he followed the Christian religion.
Yeah. Okay, Stephanie, let's get to the events from the book, okay? How would you explain the Week of Peace in Umuofia? What do you think is symbolized to them?
The Week of Peace was a week before the planting season. It was a week that there was supposed to be no violence to honor the earth deity.
I totally agree, and that's, I would also say, it was my climax in the novel, because I feel his downfall started immediately after he killed Ikemefuna. There's a way they say it in my tribe, the Igbo tribe. They say, I'm trying to get it, because these are customs, these are cultural issues. They say, I think, ihe na-egbu nwa nkịta, mgbe ọnwụ chọrọ igbu nwa nkịta ọ na-ekwe ya n'ushi nshi. That means, when a dog is about to die, it doesn't smell, it doesn't perceive anymore the scent or the smell of physics. Okay, that's what it means. It means that he had already been blinded by the gods. It means that he has already, in short, everything about him is all about doom. He's not thinking in his right senses anymore. If he wants to do B, he will mistakenly do A. Things just starts going the wrong way for the person. That was my climax. Killing Ikemefuna was my climax in that work. Let's look at the ideology of Ogbanje in Igbo land. Sometimes when a girl is behaving in a certain way, even then sometimes guys, they'll say this one is Ogbanje. Have you had that kind of incident before? I'm sure other people call it different things in their tribe, other cultures, other ethnic groups, call it different things in their tribe. So, but in Igbo, the ideology of Ogbanje in Igbo land is very unique. Okay, so what do you think it means in relation to Erinma and Okabwe's episode and the digging out of the Iyo? That Iyo, you did encounter the area where they had to Okabwe had to dig out something just to set Ezima free. What did that how would you describe that? What did the Ogbanje ideology mean to you?
Well, the Ogbanje ideology, to me, they believe that some children are evil spirits which come to the world to be reborn and torment their parents. Now, everyone knows that spiritually gives a ground for people to believe when bad things happen. So this gave Ekwefi a ground for her sorrow, because her children kept dying at childbirth until finally Ezima came. She had already given up. She had lost all hope. And funny enough, most of her children that died were male.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The first time she was having a female was when she had Ezima, and she was just trying to do everything. She was trying to make sure that this particular one stays, And Ezima herself was quite a child that expressed bravery.
Yeah.
That Okonkwo would have loved her. It's sure that sometimes he prayed that she was a male.
Yes.
Because of her boldness, her confidence, how she come off at things and all of that. So Okonkwo was like, I wish it was Ezima that was Moye, and the Moye, because of their personal attributes, and then the Okabwe digging out the Iyuwa, in Igbos, like you rightly mentioned, they believe that is an evil spirit reborn, that is Obanje, or possessed by an evil spirit or a spirit of incarnation or something like that, when you're talking about Obanje. And sometimes you see people that they call Obanje having an extreme case, sometimes you see them run up, they'll just be running up. Sometimes you see them quiet, and when they're in their normal state, they are usually very loving and very warm and all of that, so that is still something that is still somewhere there in the Igbo culture. It's still somewhere there, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about it right now because it reflected in the book The Things Fall Apart, and Ezima was the one that was termed to be Obanje. All right, let's go. Let's move on. How did things really end for Okonkwo?
Well, I would say things did fall apart.
All right.
Things fell apart for him when he discovered that his prestigious Igbo traditional society had submitted to the Western culture, to Christianity, to them leading them, and honestly, he was not able to accept it, that my people that I expected them to welcome me and I was going to attain the 4th highest title in the clan had gone to join the Western culture. Even at first, it was the cowards, the men that behaved like women, but even the chiefs started joining the Christian and Western religion.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. Deborah, what African cultural values are reflected in Things Fall Apart?
Things Fall Apart reflects the cultural values of respect for elders. It respects the values of the values of tradition, upholding tradition. Yeah. As we can see in the novel, we had a thorough go through of the Igbo tradition, yes, of the Igbo culture of traditional marriages. It talks about adaptation to new societies. It brings up the issue of colonialism and how it affected pre-colonial Igbo society.
Yeah, thank you very much. What do you think were the African values that were reflected in the book?
I would say storytelling. This is an ancient, long value that is very familiar to Africans. Storytelling, proverbs, the use of proverbs.
Exactly.
It shows Achebe used proverbs to show that Igbo's traditional society were not ignorant. They were not senseless. They were rich.
Yeah. In their culture.
They were rich in their culture, in their ways. Yes, thank you very much.
So you're talking about now. You're mentioning you're talking about some of the elements in the book writing, right? The style the author used in writing. So let's look at. Did you find any element of humor?
Humor, yes.
Any element of the kind of language used? What was it like?
For humor, I would say he used some humorous expressions like that of Agadi Nwai, which refers to an old woman whose teeth is that of a corn cob. Yes, that was humorous. And language, in Igbo language, there were a lot of Igbo words, Igbo expressions, so yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Deborah, what do you think was the morals in the text?
The morals in the text, the morals reflected in the text. Firstly, they try to teach us that adaptation, sometimes, even if we don't want it, it is somehow necessary. Okonkwo might actually have found a way out without killing himself through strategic planning, but because of his fear and his pride, he could not. So this story literally teaches us that sometimes we should not let fear overtake our consciousness. We should try to adapt to the surroundings in a way that will make life better for us.
Yeah.
Which is what the pre-colonial Igbo society did at that point in time.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, as Africans, we are known for our proverbs, our idioms, and our folklores, our riddles, and the rest of them. And there were elements of such in the book, because you had mentioned something about proverbs earlier. So let's look at some of the proverbs and idioms that were used in the book. All right, they said, one says, a chick that will grow into a cock can be spotted the very day he was hatched. What does this mean?
It means that you will know somebody from the day it was, but you will know how somebody will turn out from the character the person has been exhibiting. And it was said by Okonkwo to his close friend Obierika about his son Umuofia. He was not satisfied with his son's behavior. He was not satisfied with his son's femininity and lack of masculinity. He was just lamenting to his friend Obierika.
That's good. Thank you for that. Deborah, Eneke the bird says that since men have learned to shoot without missing, he has learned to fly without perching.
Well, this was said by the richest man in the clan, who, when Okonkwo was still young, went to ask for some seed yams to plant. Of course, his father left nothing for him. So this idiom, this proverb, just means that men need to learn how to adapt to the situation. If things don't go well, you adapt to how you plan. If things go well, you adapt to how you plan. And he said it because he was lamenting on how the men of the village were becoming lazy. Young men refused to fight and farm anymore. And he was trusting Okonkwo will be able to adapt to his new life as a farmer and then build up a successful career from there.
Thank you very much. That's very good. Stephanie, a man who makes trouble for others is also making trouble for himself. What is this expression about?
He's saying that if you find a problem, this says if you find a problem, if you look for trouble, if you're being troublesome, being problematic, it will affect people around you, people close to you, and people even that are distant from you. It's basically going to affect everybody.
Exactly.
Yes.
It means that a man who makes trouble for others is also making trouble for himself. So if you think you're hurting others, you're also hurting yourself. Whatever you do will also come back to you. Yes. That's karma. Thank you. That's just the one word to summarize it. Karma. All right, let's look at some of the idioms, Deborah. The white man has put a knife on the things that held us together.
Well, this idiom is a very powerful one. And from my perspective, what it means, the white man has put a knife on things that held us together. The white man came at the time when Umuofia was at its peak and threatened everything they stand for. Their spirituality, their religion, their culture, their political system. The children that they looked up that will become their next rulers are now turning into Christians and going for Western education to become teachers. So it started causing division in the clan.
Yeah. Wow, has it not been a very interesting conversation and book review of Things Fall Apart by Stephanie and Deborah? I enjoyed myself. I don't know about you, but I want to believe that you really, really, really enjoyed yourself. So let's make this more of a habit, reading African literatures, because it has a lot of depth, it has a lot of knowledge, it has a lot of insight that we can all draw from. Thank you, Stephanie, for being on our set today, and thank you, Deborah, for being on our set today. I hope I'm going to see you guys next time, all right? So to every student watching me right now, we encourage you to keep reading African literatures. Read to understand your culture, read to question your world. read to tell your own story. This has been African Bookworm Voices. For interesting episodes to come, please follow us on our social media handles displayed on the screen. On YouTube, we have Seasons TV and other social media handles on the screen. For partnerships and sponsorship, please dial the number on the screen and someone will reach out to you. Until next episode, my name is Akudo Udoka Nwokore. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.